Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. Joining us now to review some of the headlines of today's newspapers from around the world is Arise News analyst Emmanuel Efeni. Good morning, Emmanuel.
Good morning, Ruben.
Yes.
Welcome back.
Nice to see you.
It's good to see you, Emmanuel.
Yes.
Thank you. How are you?
I'm good.
All right.
Let's start with this day newspaper. CBN, MTN reached tentative agreement on $8 billion fines. Meets telecom banks today. FG plans London roadshow on $2.8 billion Eurobond. Now, after that hefty fine, yes.
Well, what agreement have they come to now?
Well, the MD of the MTN group was in Nigeria and met with the CBN authorities, and the likelihood of reduction in that fine, because there were concerns also from the South African end that this huge fine, that is according to the South African Reserve Bank, may also increase the risk to the South African economy.
Will affect the financial system.
Yes, the financial system. And so they are taking a second look at it. The central bank has invited the MDs of the 4 banks that were part of these
Stanbic IBTC,
Stanbic, City and Diamond Bank. Yes. So they've invited them for a meeting today. And
so
perhaps
they're talking about possible reduction in that
perhaps
fine.
After that meeting, more information about the terms and conditions of this agreement.
Well, apart from the reduction, the proposed reduction of the fines, and I guess that would be evidence-based and not necessarily based on the emotions that this particular incident has generated. Hopefully also the cases that are in court, because some of the affected parties have had to take the CBN to court, maybe there will be some agreement about that to stop the litigation and then negotiate the way forward. However, the principle still remains that when you do business in any country, there is usually a legal framework for operations in that country. In this particular case, MTN and the banks were accused of having violated, basic regulations under the Nigerian laws. So I think that has to be emphasized. But for MTN, whatever relief it gets from this, there's still also the unresolved matter of the 2 billion naira tax that was slammed on it, that was brought up by the Attorney General of the Federation's office. That will also be another issue. So what I see here is that, at some point, diplomacy has kicked in. But the question to ask is whether all of this should not have been done originally before that furore, that hoopla, was generated, to the extent that persons began to use the MTN case to benchmark concerns about the flight of foreign investors from Nigeria and the discouragement of other investors that may be interested in the Nigerian economy.
Yes, bearing in mind that this infraction happened some 10 years ago.
Over a period of 10 years.
Yes, so not good for the...
So there are corporate governance issues then, therefore, that will also need to be addressed.
Yes. Let's move on to the Daily Independent. No controversy over 30,000 new minimum wage. That's according to Labour. Why Buhari was silent on new figures presidency. Now, Boboy Kaigama, the president of the TUC, is saying that, look, there should be no controversy because 30,000 was agreed and 30,000 was forwarded by the tripartite committee to the president. But the angle that is bringing this doubt also has been further accentuated by the Minister of Information, Lai Mohammed, who is now saying that the president has not given his opinion, that he still has to look at the report sent to him, which means he has been oblivious, if you want, of all the conversations.
So
he needs to look
how
at
long
it.
now? 2
yes.
months?
No, maybe we should put it like this. I mean, if the president receives...
But he also said that 30,000 is only a recommendation, throwing further doubts about that figure.
Well, but you see, again, if I may play the devil's advocate, the president, having received the report of the tripartite committee and an attached draft bill, proposed bill, he's not just going to say on the basis of what is going on the pages of newspapers and quickly append his signature to it within 24 hours. He will forward it, to maybe the office of the Attorney General, since it's a bill. The team in the Attorney General's office will look at it with particular attention to the small prints. Because all of us we're focusing on figure. There may have been certain things inside that bill, that are not even in the public domain. So they will study it. After studying it, it may be necessary to clean up that bill to serve certain purposes. They will look at the figures. How do we fit this, for example, into the appropriation bill? What steps can be taken? So there will be professional and technical advice. And then at the end of the day, the president can then forward it as an executive bill. But to imagine that, all of that will be done in 24 hours, that won't happen, okay? But I think it's also important that both Labour and the public are putting pressure, on the federal government to say, this is a case of collective bargaining, collective agreement. And once something has been reached, then the executive arm of government is under obligation to respect terms that have been agreed by its own representatives, okay? Yes. Who, we can assume were acting based on directives and discussions to which the president could not have been oblivious during the process of the negotiations. I think this is where the issue is. And the other thing that you have not brought up is that people have told the Minister of Information, and that's another subject. I don't know whether it's part of your review. That, look, you told journalists, a group of journalists, that the government of Nigeria is spending 3.5 million to feed the Zakzaki, which amounts to 116,000 naira per day. So if the government of Nigeria can feed a man in detention with 116 naira per day, 1,000 per day, then then the government should be able to pay 30,000 per month. Okay, so the argument should not arise.
I follow you in your lines of playing your devil's advocate. Wait, let me just. How long is this review?
The devil an uppercut.
So wait, how long are we looking at? What is this review time frame that we're looking at? I mean, you're saying, okay, not 24 hours. What are we going to see?
How long will it take?
Yes, for this guy to actually go.
No, Labour's Peter Esom, the General Secretary of the Nigerian Labour Congress, said, look, they expect that this will be done within a matter of 2-3 weeks, max. And if they see that government is dragging its feet, Labour will be forced to start pressurizing again. It's not as if it will take forever, but at least there will be a study, the president will discuss it, maybe a small committee will be formed, to just give some extra opinions, just to be sure that all the small prints are considered. Because it's not just, the bill will not just say 30,000 naira for workers. A proper bill will have certain clauses, certain sections.
All right, so let's...
that figure seems to be sacrosanct.
It's the figure everybody is focusing on.
Labour is concerned. Yeah. So no matter how long it takes, no matter how many lawyers in the Attorney General's office will look at it, 30,000 naira is sacrosanct, according to Labour.
That's what Labour is.
Yes. Now, I leave Lai Mohammed and El Zakzaki out of this discourse for now, because I don't want them to overfeed El Zakzaki and affect his health. At a certain age, you don't eat too much. We all know that.
Emmanuel.
Okay?
Efeni, please take a serious story.
Okay, let's look at the Punch newspaper. Alleged 33 billion naira fraud. Reps demand NEMA DG's sacking. Accused Osibajo of illegal approval. The report of the House of Representatives Committee that looked into the alleged fraud in the National Emergency Agency And the report is saying that Mustafa Maimaja, the DG, the Director General, allegedly misappropriated 33 billion naira. And that is huge sum of money.
Yeah.
And the House went ahead to also indict the Vice President for illegally approving huge amounts for the agency.
Well, before the House of Reps reached that conclusion, did they give the two parties involved the right to the opportunity for fair hearing?
Well, this committee has been working and looking at infractions in that agency. I want to believe everybody involved must have been invited or their opinion sought on this matter. In fact, several top officials who were suspended earlier in the year were recalled back to their job. But interestingly, they are now calling on the EFCC and the ICPC to do their job because a case of infraction, alleged fraud, has been established. But I think if the EFCC takes it up from there, then perhaps we'll get further insight. Persons will be given better opportunity, if you like, to state their case.
Present their case.
Yes.
Okay. So do you have any foreign stories,
Yes.
Emmanuel?
Let's go to the foreign newspapers. The UK, The Guardian UK, decline of high streets gathers pace as thousands of stores close. Yes, a number of big shops on the high streets are closing down.
And what's the reason for this?
Of course, the changing habits of individuals, online shopping.
Oh,
yes,
okay.
it's part of. Then, of course, the rising costs of doing business.
Right.
You have to pay better wages. High cost of house of rent and all that. A number of these house of freezer, closed shop.
Wow.
And mother care also in trouble trying to renegotiate terms with your landlord.
I mean, for a company like Mother Care, I wouldn't see why they will have an issue because, I mean, I'm a mother. I'd like to go into a store to purchase things for my babies.
More people just sit at their...
Just go online and
order for these things these days. That's the new way of life.
Well, they could even get worse in the face of, a no-deal Brexit.
Yes.
Correct. That's a good point.
Also in the UK, the Times of UK, no-deal plan will include new border in Irish Sea. A letter leaked, which Theresa May wrote to the DUP, stating that they're going to create a border on the Irish Sea, which many are also kicking against, especially the DUP, that the plan, the plan is called backstop to the backstop. In case of no deal, for UK to get that deal within the no deal.
That was a proposal by Michel Barnier, the EU negotiator.
So they are also, that is in the works. But if you look at the Daily Telegraph, EU demands right to fish after Brexit. Yes, in the event of no deal, yes, the Northern Ireland will remain in the customs union.
Okay.
But the EU is saying that for us to have that, there has to be an iron cast guarantee that EU fishermen will still have access to British waters.
Yeah.
But fishermen are not having any of that because the immediate benefit that will come from Brexit will be that fishermen will now get more value. That is UK fishermen. And of course, MPs from those fishing communities are saying, we are not going to have any of that. If we just look at the US, where the Wall Street Journal is reporting police probe massacre motive.
Oh, yeah.
1 year after Las Vegas shooting.
Right.
Yes, that veteran,
ex-military guy, who killed 12 people.
David Long,
yes,
moved into a country bar restaurant and killed 12 people. But one sad aspect of it is that the victims, among the 12 victims, was one man who escaped the Las Vegas shooting. Only to be killed.
But you know, in the long case, maybe there's also something here about the proactiveness of the law enforcement authorities. Because in April, there had been a report that, you know, Long was behaving in an unstable manner, and the police were called in, and they went in there, you know, but they allowed him to go because they could not really establish that he had a mental challenge. This is a guy who is a veteran machine gunner who had served with the Marines, you know,
in Afghanistan,
in Japan, in Afghanistan, and all of that. And he was said to be a nice guy around the neighborhood. But you never know when people are suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder.
He recently
maybe if there had
put
been
a
some
post on Facebook, actually,
Yes.
and he was kind of making a kind of mockery on gun reforms. He was actually saying, that was his last post. He was saying something about, oh, you wonder what happens when, you know, there's some sort of shooting and people just say we're sending prayers, and that's about all the nation can do. And so I think that he also had like some kind of issues with gun reform in America, and he, you know, this is probably why he did what he did.
Yeah, but what he has done now, you know, even makes a stronger case for gun reform in the United States, because you keep having these cases. Sometimes, you know, persons having mental health challenges, or persons, you know, who have some ideological issues. You know, like the guy that you know was engaged in that anti-Semitic attack at the Jewish synagogue. So all of this should be a wake-up call for America, because, you know, those of us who are far away, who are out here, you know, when you hear America, the next thing you think about now is indiscriminate shootings, you know, guns, attack, and all of that. And there are persons, you know, who will just say, look, America. So this is becoming a new image of America in the eyes of the world. And it's not an image that looks good. And it
be
because the America we know is supposed to be the land of peace, the new world, you know, the land of opportunities. What is it again that our people call it? You know?
Land of milk and honey. Well, thank you so much, Emmanuel, for this segment. It was nice to see you again today. So have a good weekend. Thank you. It's time now for a short break.